So we're preparing to live stream the meeting now. So a very warm welcome to everyone. Very good evening. Once again, welcome to the Vestralex free online community classes on law initiative. It's absolutely fantastic to be joining our study group, our Sunday study group on a Friday evening. But again, we have such wonderful faculty with us today that it's absolutely worthwhile to start the weekend a little early. And in that respect, I will very humbly want to introduce to us, to all of our participants today, Mr. Bhumesh Verma, our guest faculty today. Mr. Verma is a managing partner at Corp Comm Legal, an independent Indian law firm headquartered in New Delhi. He's a law graduate from Campus Law Center. He's my senior from my college. He started his career at Ajay Behel & Co., now known as AZB and Partners, and he went on to work with some of the best law firms in India. Mr. Verma has received the coveted Chevening Scholarship by the UK government in 2000. Under this scholarship, he studied in the College of Law at York and was a visiting lawyer with Ostrich London office. After coming back to India, he continued his upward legal career, becoming partner at some of the leading Indian law firms, including Khetan & Co., Paras Kuhart and Associates, and Link Legal. His primary expertise areas are advising domestic and foreign clients on inbound and outbound mergers and acquisition transactions, private equity, venture capital, foreign investments, joint ventures, technology transfers, external commercial borrowings, corporate structuring, strategic advice, entry strategy for foreign investors, regulatory approvals, corporate advisory, due diligence, negotiations, documentation for transactions, and you know how it goes on from there. He is the convener of a global network of small and mid-sized law firms, Global Business Lawyers League, and is constantly engaged in inbound and outbound mergers and acquisition transactions. Despite his hectic schedule, Bhumesh has been passionate about sharing his knowledge and experience with young generation of legal fraternity. An avid reader, much sought after speaker and prolific writer, he has more than 500 published articles, blogs to his credit. He has authored books on commercial contracts drafting and edited one on mergers and acquisitions. He has contributed to the Indian chapter of several global publications as well. Again, Sir has been engaged with many prestigious law and management schools across India as a guest professor. He has also been invited by the National Productivity Council, Government of India, from time to time. He has conducted credit courses, workshops, and training sessions for students and professionals on contract drafting, negotiations, and corporate law skills. Today, Sir is with us, and it's our humble pleasure to have Sir's idea of what exactly is an efficient practice in the domain of corporate law. And with that, I very warmly welcome Sir to our humble platform, and I hand over the class to him. Welcome, Sir.
Thank you so much, Keshav, for your kind introduction. And it's a pleasure to be amongst you. I think our friend Saeed Naqvi is also joining in. So I see some familiar names here who keep joining my talks every time I'm there on any platform. So I keep asking them, do you like me too much or you didn't understand last time? I don't know. What is the reason? Anyways, so I see them there on a platform last time. I don't know. What is the reason? Anyways. So, hi, Saeed.
Hi, Naqvi, sir. So I think there's a thing with the YouTube that if both windows are open at the same time, then some audio gets conflicted and there's a reverb.
So the discussion today is about how to excel in corporate law career. So we will discuss about some basic traits to excel in corporate practice. Now, Keshav, what is the, I would say, constitution of the audience today? Are there many students from Campus Law Center, or is it a mix of professionals and students?
So it's usually a mix. We have law students also, we have professionals also, legal professionals as well as non-legal professionals also.
Okay, okay,
So
great. So
since you've given me this opportunity, may I just also just add, I request everyone to kindly keep their mics on mute. There will be a detailed question and answer session with towards the end of the class. In the meanwhile, I very humbly request that please just keep your mics on mute. Whatever thoughts are there, just share them in the chat box. Thank you so much. So please.
yes, so normally whenever we think of a lawyer, what impression comes to mind? A lawyer in a courtroom, isn't it? In 1990s, when I was studying law and then I got out of law school and started practicing, the first question anybody would ask me when I would tell that I'm a lawyer by profession would be, which court are you practicing? Has that changed, Keshav, or is it still the same?
Absolutely the same. So very unfortunate, but absolutely the same.
So the general impression is lawyer is a professional who is in the courts arguing, shouting, submitting documents, pleadings, rejoinders, and so on and so forth. So it was very difficult, imagine 30 years back, to explain to anyone that there is a lawyer and there is a group of lawyers who do not go to court, who do not wear the black coat, who do not wear the collar, and so on. So it was very tough explaining to people. But thankfully, now there is more awareness among the public and within the fraternity that yes, there can be lawyers who are not going to court, who are not litigating. So I think the mix, so to say, of corporate lawyers and litigation lawyers is changing now. Earlier, maybe it was 99% litigation lawyers, 1% corporate lawyers. Now it's more democratic, I would say. Among the new law aspirants, I think at least 1/3 or even more now aspire to become corporate lawyers. So as corporate lawyers, what do you do? What could we say that is the job profile or practice area of a corporate lawyer? So anything other than litigation or judiciary, the traditional way of looking at legal profession was someone who's a lawyer becomes a senior advocate, is a notary, is an oath commissioner, or the highest level of a lawyer would be a judicial office, a judge, district court, high court, supreme court, chief justice, and so on and so forth. So corporate law, I would broadly say, is anything other than these, anything other than litigation or judicial. Now corporate lawyer envisages so many practice areas and domains and workforce that could have been unfathomable 3 decades back. So you have mergers and acquisitions, you have contracts, you have IPR, you have labor laws, you have banking insolvency, you have environment, you have compliance, you have startup advisory, mentoring, international treaties, conventions, due diligence, negotiations, foreign investments, taxation, capital markets, venture capital, private equity, real estate, international corporate commercial transactions. The world has become so big for practicing law. There is so much amount of business in every practice vertical. so much money in every practice vertical that you specialize in any one vertical or two verticals and you're sorted. So litigation now comprises of only one of the practice verticals, which was, earlier maybe 80% or 90% or even more in India. Why? Because in India, businesses were not structured. There was black economy. 50 to 60% of our economy was black economy. Young generation may not be so well versed. We almost had a parallel economy running. Tax evasion, no documentation, no records, no tax filings, nothing on record, no agreements. Now with the MNCs getting into India, more professionalization getting into even Indian corporate houses, plugging the tax evasion, rationalizing the tax rates, all this has resulted in one, professionalization of everything that is there in India. Capital markets have become very sophisticated in India. Our economy has become fifth largest in the world. All this required structuring, rationalization, professionalization, and corporatization. Because of this, there is much more enhanced focus on getting everything in a legal way. So the work for legal professionals has undergone a huge transformation over the last 3 decades since our economy was liberalized in 1991. So legal profession has, come from a very primitive stage to a very sophisticated stage today, to a level that we are not even scared of opening our, Indian economy for foreign lawyers and foreign law firms. That is where we have come from 30 years back till here. So one, the practice areas for corporate law have enhanced, have enlarged. So what traits do you require to become an effective corporate lawyer? We will discuss some traits. Traditional way of working in litigation was bulk, repeat, pleadings, if you see, Keshav, are running into hundreds and thousands of pages, right? Litigation, what do you get? Tarikh pe tarikh. Unfortunately, corporate lawyers do not have the luxury of time. Everything comes to us in reverse with the timelines, that this is to be done by this is to be done by this. Everything in corporate practice is time bound. So there is a lot of hard work involved, yes, but smart working is as much required or even more than hard work. That is the first trait of corporate law practice. You need to work smart, not only hard. Only hard working doesn't take you anywhere in corporate law practice. Timeliness, as I was saying, in corporate law practice, timeliness is godliness. You can't relax ever. You don't get dates in corporate practice. Whatever is to be done, client is always on fire. Deadline for everything that the client wants you to do is yesterday. Clients always work in the reverse. They wanted this yesterday or day before, then they come to you. Like in medical profession, there is no, every case is an emergency. When you have to admit a patient in a hospital, you enter through emergency door, isn't it? So this is what happens in corporate practice. Everything was required to be done yesterday or day before, then only the client comes to you. So you do not have the luxury of time. That is the first problem with corporate law practice. So you have to be very efficient at managing your time. So And another interesting aspect of corporate law practice is that it is not a confrontationist kind of practice. Litigation is confrontationist, adversarial, shouting, enmity, me versus you. That is litigation. Corporate practice is me and you, us. We have to work together. Most of the times you would be talking to different parties who want to undertake a commercial transaction, who want to do business with each other. So here you cannot afford to fight. You cannot afford to have a confrontationist approach. Your approach has to be collaborative, conciliatory, mediatory, balancing, give and take. So there's a huge difference between your attitude, your language, body language, way of talking, social behavior, dressing, etiquettes, mutual respect, responsiveness, and so on when you are into corporate practice. Your demeanor has to be very congenial. You are here to make friends. You can do business only with friends, isn't it? So you have to make parties comfortable with each other so that they can work together, compromising some of their interests. Every contract is a compromise, isn't it? No party, almost in no contract, no party gets 100% of what it wanted. Every party has to compromise something. There has to be a give and take, balancing of rights and obligations of respective parties. And out of these adverse, very divergent expectations of the parties to a commercial transaction, you have to create a win-win situation. It is not litigation. You get a mandate from the client that, this is my case. I have to win this case. I have to get this much compensation from the other party. That is not your mandate, because the other party is also entitled to some rights under this contract, isn't it? So forget getting everything for your client in any commercial deal. You will have to live with what you can extract from your discussions. So balancing is a very important aspect of corporate practice. Okay, now to succeed or even survive in corporate law practice, you need a good network. I don't know how much of that is required in litigation practice, but in corporate practice, definitely you need a good network. Network of whom? All sorts of professionals, not only lawyers. Lawyers may be competing with each other for the same business. So you may have to network with non-lawyers, professionals, CEOs, CXOs, chartered accountants, company secretaries, real estate agents, market intermediaries, and so on. This is where you will get your work from, and this is where you will get support for your transactions. And lawyers cannot carry commercial transactions solely on their own. They require assistance, inputs, advice, investigations by different professionals. So you need to have different professionals on your call. So you need to explore, mingle with, and network with different sorts of professionals who can assist you in getting business and executing that business. So networking is very important part of corporate law practice. Another aspect, I think it applies to all verticals of legal practice, is ethics. You have to be very strong, very straight, very honest with your ethics, because almost all commercial deals carry significant monetary and reputational value. You do not compromise. You check everything from common sense and ethical standards. What I'm doing, what my client is doing, is it legal, ethical, conforms to the norms, trades, trade practices, customs, besides law, of course, or is there something shady going on in between, which the parties are not disclosing to me? So you have to don several roles. You have to be an investigator, you have to be a lawyer, you have to be an actor, feeling like your client, thinking yourself in the position of your client, and sometimes acting as a devil's advocate. What if you were to be in the shoes of the other party? How would you respond to your client's proposal? Like a game of chess, you don't make one move just for the heck of it. You think, what next 2 3 moves can the opponent make, isn't it? Same goes with corporate law practice. You have to put yourself in the shoes of your own client first, that as a client, what would be my expectations from this deal? And then you put yourself in the other party's shoes. How is the other party likely to respond to what I'm suggesting? So ethical standards you need to maintain, because some deals may happen, some deals may not happen, but your reputation, that is a long-term investment that you're making, isn't it? Form of any player in any game is temporary, but class is permanent, isn't it? So you should carry a good ethical reputation throughout your professional career. That is very important. And that applies across the board in all practice verticals. Need to know, between right and wrong, what is the difference? And when we talk of this right and wrong, there's a very thin line between being confident and arrogant. Confidence is good, but again, excess of everything is not good. Do not be overconfident. That may turn your confidence into arrogance, because arrogance requires advertising. You need to tell the world who you are, why you are, and how great you are. Confidence speaks for itself. How you project yourself, your client, your proposals, and so on, if you're confident, that would speak for itself. Arrogance, you have to brag. So understand the difference between confidence and bragging. Try to be, away from arrogance as much as possible. Another key aspect of corporate law practice is patience and persistence. In litigation, if you establish yourself well in 1 or 2 years or 3 years, you have a legacy of cases. You have 100, 200 files. Work will never stop. Is that correct, Keshav? Because litigation is perpetual. Litigation will never end. It will only breed more and more litigation. And if you are performing your job well, clients will refer you to more clients. It will never end. The files that you have taken today will continue at least for 3, 4, 5, 10 years, 20 years. Appeal pe appeal, tarikh pe tarikh, right? Corporate practice is not like that. Most of the times it happens transaction to transaction. Transaction is over, client is gone. Unless the client requires you for another transaction, that client is not coming back. So you have to proverbially dig virtually every day for new business. So patience and persistence, constant efforts are very important. constant efforts, be it networking, be it social media, other means. You had to be visible in the market, so to say. Okay. And patience. Yes, because again, as it happens in litigation, you have successfully executed some transaction. Definitely, if the client has more business, it will come to you and it will refer you to more clients. That's a no-brainer. But you have to be patient, because unlike litigation has no season, isn't it? Litigation happens 24/7, day and night. People keep fighting with each other, people keep contesting each other's claims, people keep encroaching upon others' rights and so on all the time. But business doesn't happen that way. Business has cycles. Sometimes economy is doing good, there are more transactions. Economy is not doing good, there are less transactions. Sometimes the stock markets are down. Sometimes there is COVID, no business happening. So it is seasonal and cyclical, and it depends on lot of other external factors, government policies. If the government policies are conducive for business, yes, more transactions will happen. If the government policies are not good, not business friendly, there will be less business. But it keeps, going up and down. So you have to be patient. Patient in the sense that you should have patience. Okay, so patience is very important. And the most important part in corporate practice, don't attribute any selfish motive on me on this count. Okay, the most important part in corporate practice is drafting skills. Now, because I teach drafting nationally, internationally, and so on, and I have my books and courses, do not attribute any selfish motive, because I think a lawyer can represent its clients only in words, be it written words or spoken words. So drafting is very, very important for succeeding in your corporate law career. So earlier you start investing in your drafting skills, the better it is for you, for your career trajectory. So please, please, please invest in your drafting skills. Start learning as early as possible in your career, even in your student days, if possible. If your educational institution is not, very keen on imparting practical skills when it comes to drafting any practice area, not only contracts, pleadings, IPR, anything, start working on your drafting skills. Drafting skills will differentiate you from others. Because in drafting, we say legal drafting, there are only two things wrong. One is the content, the other is style. Everything else is all right when it comes to legal drafting. So you have to work on the content and you have to work on the style. And what are the problems with legal drafting? Cut, copy, paste. Few days back, you would have seen Supreme Court put mine, Mr. put mine, right? Senior would have, instructed the junior to put his name in appearance. So Mr. put mine was there in a Supreme Court pleading. Non-application of mind. That is the biggest pain in legal drafting. Everything understands, everyone thinks that legal drafting, now I'm not distinguishing between litigation drafting or corporate drafting, everyone assumes that legal drafting is the easiest job in the world. What do you have to do? Just pick up something from somewhere, change parties' names, dates, few particulars, and your job is done. Everyone, even legal professionals, law students, they think like that. But that's a very dangerous approach. I say legal drafting is the scariest of assignments that you can get, because you own all the mistakes. once a draft goes from your outbox to the client, or a pleading goes in court in your name, you own every mistake in it, whether you have made it, whether your junior has made it, whether Google has made it, whether author of the book that you have copied this draft from, he or she has made it. Anyone who has made any mistake, the buck stops at you. You own all the mistakes. So you have to be very, very careful with your legal drafting. Please refrain from blind cut, copy, paste. Please refrain from non-application of mind. Read and review everything completely. Read everything that you are writing. Read everything that you are typing. Then only submit it anywhere, be it courts, be it, to a counterparty as a contract, be it a legal notice, anything. Be very careful with your drafting. Okay. And do not think Google is perfect. Do not think ChatGPT is perfect. It is far, far, far from perfect. We have tested this for fun many times. ChatGPT. If I put my, I query on myself, I can show you if someone wants to contest. I can show you ChatGPT awards me an LLM, which I've never done. LLM from National Law School, Bangalore. I have not seen NLS Bangalore physically. I have not seen it. Being there is another thing. I have not even seen that college. And I'm 100% sure I would not have got entrance. I would not have cleared entrance exam of that esteemed law college. But ChatGPT awards me an LLM from there. ChatGPT attributes so many books in my name, which I have never written, which I don't know that those books exist in the market, those titles. So please do not put your trust, particularly for legal writing or legal research, on Google and ChatGPT. Use reliable sources, credible sources. And I have seen many of my associates coming up to me with, drafts of contracts wherein I don't understand some particular enactment. I say, what is this? This is, this was there in that draft. Okay, fine, but find this law. And they find that law. That was a New Zealand law. Between two Indian parties, this contract is happening and they are quoting some New Zealand law. So if you apply your mind, read everything critically, you'll find these mistakes. Do not take anyone's draft as sacrosanct. Be it any big law firm, any big author, Google, ChatGPT, or any other artificial intelligence. Review everything very critically when it comes to drafting. Your drafting should make clients' life simpler and better. Clients should be more empowered by coming to you. If you are only carrying out the instructions of the client gives you 5 points, you narrate those 5 points in your pleadings or your contract, then what is your value add to this transaction? Your value add is your inputs, your legal knowledge, your acumen, your expertise, your experience, your qualification. If you have not given your client more than what the client already knew or highlighted to you, I think you are a failure as a professional. There is no value add. Client need not have come to you. Client could have downloaded a template from the internet like you did and, be done with you. No point. Why is the client engaging you? Client is not engaging Google. Client is not engaging ChatGPT. Client is not paying Google. Client is engaging you for your inputs, your expertise, your experience. So there has to be a value add element. You, with your qualification, your experience, your expertise, should enhance your client's entitlements, benefits, rights, and limit your client's exposure, liabilities, obligations under any transaction or in litigation. Then only one can say that you, sorry, that you have succeeded as a professional. Otherwise, there is no point of engaging you. And second problem with drafting is wordiness. More words than necessary and repetition. Reply back, revert back, free gift, absolutely clear, 2 a.m. in the morning, right? 9 p.m. in the night, in the year 1992, in the month of January. We use more words than are strictly required. Eradicate this wordiness, this verboise, or better, I call it verbal diarrhea. Eliminate this from your vocabulary. Use as less words as possible, but less words, but effective words. Every word in your sentence should deserve its place. See every word. You carry it for 1 or 2 years, you'll get to know where you are going. Read every word critically. Does this word actually add any value to my statement? Then only use it. Because Keshavji, you must be filing pleadings in hundreds of pages, thousands of pages at times in court. Does any judge actually, humanly, is it possible for the judge to read the entire pleadings?
So what do I say? I've spoken to a few judges in this respect. They seem to know the entire file. I don't know how. I find it very surprising, but very enlightening and enriching also. But I don't know how they seem to know the file.
So if every, my friend happens to be a high court judge and he has 80 cases, 80 cases at least every day. If one case pleadings go into hundreds and thousands of pages, is it humanly possible for anyone to read? So how do you handle such situation? Do you have to summarize your pleadings in 1 to 5 pages or not?
Absolutely, absolutely, sir. Always.
So why shouldn't we make it a point that we will write only as much as is strictly required to convey the point? Why keep going around in circles and beating around the bush? That is the biggest pain of legal profession in India. Verboise, legalese, jargon, faltu, excessive writing. So please eradicate this excessive writing and excessive speaking. Stick to the point, be precise, concise, measured in your statements, be it a pleading, be it a contract, and so on, and make it understandable. Make it understandable. If you have, borrowed Shakespeare's language, very good English, but dated, what good is it? You watch a movie which is in a different language, even if there were to be subtitles, do you enjoy it as much as you would if you see a movie in a language that you understand? Which one would you enjoy more, Keshavji?
So which I can understand better, like language I know. And
right. So why don't you give the judges, the arbitrator, the police, the SEBI, the RBI, or the other contracting party something that they can understand? why to convolute the entire discussion in a language, so it becomes a pain on the eyes when you're reading something that you don't understand and you have to go to Google for everything. Reader loses interest in what you have written. It gets confused, it gets irritated. So your writing has to be very clean, clear, crisp, concise, precise, and on the top of it, best part has to be understandable. So your writings, so that is the benchmark of good corporate law practice. Whatever you write has to be very crisp, clear, and understandable. Litigation, every time I go to a discussion, they say, sir, abhi bhi urdu wale words chal rahe hain अंग्रेजों के जमाने के, ये फर्द है और ये है और वो है and all that. In our district courts, we're still using Urdu words. In police documents also, the same nomenclature is going on. Why? If no one understands that language, like it has happened with Latin, why should we keep using those words? So please be up to date with your language. Use contemporary, but contemporary does not mean internet language. BTW लिखना शुरू कर दें, one will not understand by the way लिखा है या बिट्टू टिक्की वाला लिखा है. And being a corporate lawyer, you also have to cultivate the habit of listening. We lawyers are always accused of this verbois and legalese and verbal diarrhea. We should also cultivate the habit of listening to others, because when you speak, you don't learn anything. You're speaking what you know. But if you are listening, like you people are listening, I don't know, happily or otherwise, you're listening to me, you may get to know something new, something different, right? So we should cultivate the habit of listening also. We have to be receptive to ideas, because in litigation is one-sided. I'm writing, I'm speaking, I'm arguing in the court. The other party will respond in writing, or they will speak, and I will again respond in writing, or I may again get a chance to speak. Corporate practice is constant, to and fro, because it involves a lot of negotiations also. You have to think on your feet. So you have to be a good listener to respond there and then. In litigation, that situation may never arise. Dates, come after months and years. Party has said something today, you may get 1 year's time to respond to that. In corporate practice, you don't get that much time. So you have to be a good listener. So you listen not to, for the sake of it, but to understand the other party's perspective and come back with a counter proposal, acceptance, refutal, and so on. So thinking on your feet is very important in corporate law practice. And you cannot be oblivious to the ecosystem. In litigation, most of the times, with apologies to my litigation friends, you can do well if you know only the law, if you know the case law, if you know the sections, if you're good at arguments. But in corporate law practice, you need to know the entire ecosystem, how the economy is performing, what are the government policies, what are the competitors doing, what are the transactions happening in the same sector, what price and what terms and conditions they are happening. And corporate practice is not one, like litigation is only one aspect. If you are going to court, you are going to that court only. That's it. Kaam khatam. In a corporate transaction, you are carrying out due diligence, you are carrying documentation, you are seeking government approvals, you are doing negotiation, right? You are taking approvals from banks, you are taking approvals from creditors, you are taking approvals from shareholders, you are taking approvals from board of directors. It is multi-dimensional. So you have to know the entire ecosystem around a transaction. So focus not only on the legal side of it, but the entire ecosystem around it. You have to know the client, you have to know the business, you have to know the economy, you have no, to know the customs practices, other deals happening in this. So you have to read everything. Reading only legal books will not help you. You have to read economic times as well. You have to know the political ramifications of what's going on as well. You have to understand international relations also, right? And you have to be a facilitator, not an obstructionist. You have to make a deal work, not profess your expertise only by throwing objections that ye shadi nahi ho sakti. You don't, it's not your job only to keep finding faults. You have to come up with solutions. You have to make this deal happen. Your success will be known by the deals that you have made happen successfully, not by the deals that you have obstructed by objecting. You are not a mere reader or interpreter. You have to be a facilitator, a solution provider. Yet, yes, these are the obstacles to this deal. This is how we overcome them legally. That is your role in corporate practice. Okay. So, as we discuss between litigation and corporate practice, litigation, the focus is to win. You do not have any regard to the other party. You have to keep shouting. You have to be repetitive so that you drill your argument in the judge's mind. In corporate practice, the situation is different. You have to go in with a sense to collaborate. So how do you collaborate? You make two parties with divergent expectations from the same deal do business together. By what? Give and take, balancing. And you can't afford to be repetitive. You have to be very to the point. Now, Keshavji had given me very less time, said 45 minutes or so. I think that much time is over. Hari Anant, Hari Katha Ananta. I mean, lawyers suffer from verbal diarrhea, so I can go on for ages, yes, on any subject. And, that is the beauty of lawyers. They can talk for hours on any subject and even without a subject. So I will try to refrain from that. Some suggestions could be like we keep sharing a lot of information on various corporate law subjects, contracts, and so on social media. So you could follow those on LinkedIn and elsewhere. We also have a Telegram group wherein I keep posting my daily tips on contract drafting and my articles on various corporate law and business subjects. There are a lot of online courses on various aspects of corporate law practice that you can pursue if you are interested, but nothing beats practice. Whatever courses you undertake, and please, for God's sake, do not take that 99 rupees wala courses. Go to credible edtech companies and pursue good courses, national and international. I think pricing is no more a concern for good courses these days. Many of these, even international courses, are quite affordable. And definitely, this is only the beginning. As Keshav was telling me, this is not the end. This is our first interaction, and we'll keep interacting with each other. Any questions?
So first of all, I want to very humbly I just want to thank you, sir, first of all, for enlightening us and sharing such wonderful thoughts. So actually very intriguing, and the emphasis on drafting and the essence of learning proper drafting, I think that has been very clearly conveyed to everyone. So one very intriguing question which I just want to start off with is, so a new aspirant who wants to get into the domain of corporate law, what should be his entry strategy?
The entry strategy should start actually from your college itself, you start focusing on the subjects that pertain to corporate law practice, be it securities laws, contract law, company law, insolvency, banking, so on and so forth. Learn as much as you can, as I said, from the sources available within the college, outside the college, online courses, internet, and so on. Start manifesting your knowledge on social media, and then start applying, for internships as well in law firms which are focusing on corporate commercial practice. That, I think, will give you an edge when you are about to launch your career in corporate law practice.
So there are a few questions which have been shared in the chat box also. So I'll just request that people who want to ask. So there is a question from Mr. Kushal, as well as a question from there's another question from Miss Ritika Malhotra. So, Ritika, you want to ask your question?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So I
Ritika.
want to, yes, sir. Good evening, sir. Sir, I want to ask about paralegal corporate law.
What about that? Paralegal. What is a
So what
paralegal?
is, sir, I am not much aware about it, but I heard this term, so I want to know about this term.
Please carry some research on it. Please carry some research on it. Paralegal is like half legal. So you want to become a lawyer or a half lawyer?
यार वही ना बीच में मैटर की दे ले रहा
So I think sir, Dr. Sai sir also has a question. Dr. Sai sir, we'll very humbly want to take up your question also. But in the meanwhile, I think what Ritika means, sir, is that so this is a very intriguing term which one very interesting TV show has popularized, paralegal, and how very famous personality today also she portrayed the role of a paralegal in that show for quite some time. So I think sir, there's a general curiosity. So if you enlighten us with respect to what exactly is a paralegal.
Paralegal could be someone who's assisting in legal functions, but who's not legally qualified, who cannot practice law. So it's unlicensed person. So this person cannot represent himself as a lawyer before any court or tribunal and so on, but he or she would help a lawyer or a law firm in their legal work.
Right.
Like a compounder to a doctor.
So absolutely, Ritika, I think what so very clearly has conveyed is that paralegal is not the domain. Sounds good and fancy, but no, it's not. So getting back to the law bit of it. So there's another question from Mr. Kushal. Kushal, do you want to ask your question? So I'll only ask Kushal, please just unmute and ask if you want. In the meanwhile, I'll only try to ask your question. So Kushal asked that the media and entertainment industry, his interest is regarding that, and he says, sir, if I want to get an internship or if I want to work in the domain of media and entertainment law, then what should be my strategy probably for getting an internship, or how should I proceed with that?
You should check which firms are doing well in this segment and apply to them. Carry some, preliminary study on these laws and see if you can polish these skills by interning with some good firms who are active in these industry segments.
So Kushal, I hope that answers your question. So there's another question from Sonali Singh. She asked that what are the challenges faced when switching from Indian corporate law to international corporate law, and if there are any suggestions that you may want to give to that.
Well, if you are an Indian lawyer, you will practice only Indian law. You will not practice international law, right? You cannot practice UK law unless you are licensed. Unless you qualify, you do your master's or doctorate abroad and become entitled to practice that particular foreign jurisdiction's law. But international practice, if you want, then that is a different domain. You may be working on international commercial transactions with your foreign counterparts. That is, say a US company is entering India. They will engage their US lawyers, they will coordinate with you. So the US lawyers will take care of US legal bit and you will take care of the Indian legal bits for this commercial transaction.
I think that should answer that question. Very well put, actually, sir. So Kanika has a question now. This is regarding pursuing LLM from abroad. That what are the advantages and till what age bracket it would be, till what many years of practice would it be advisable to probably pursue an LLM from abroad?
Advantage of pursuing an LLM abroad may be networking in that particular country and maybe qualifying for practicing in that particular country. But to come back and practicing in India, I do not think that has much value. An LLM from a foreign university, if you have studied, you've done your LLB in India, I don't think it does hold any significant value add. About age limit, I'm not sure. You could check with the respective universities you're applying to.
So, but again, I'll be very frank with you, sir. I know that I don't know anything. And when I've had this occasion of listening to you speak about so much, and obviously, sir, the kind of experience that you've previously, obviously, all the things that you've done so far, it only makes me personally, very humbled and makes me realize that it's a very, consistency, I think, is the key. So one very intriguing thing which you mentioned during your session was the difference between confidence and boastfulness, maybe. So, sir, but lawyers are generally considered to be boastful creatures. No matter what a lawyer does, it's seen in the light of boastfulness. That, oh, that he's a lawyer. That's the reason why he's doing that. So, any suggestions, tips on how to probably work on your humility aspect, or how to because it's only beneficial even before the honorable court. If a person is practicing arguing also, the more humble and polite that person can be. So any suggestions and tips in that respect?
Well, you learn humility in courts day in, day out, right? So that's no different in corporate law practice also, because here you interact not only with not with judges or arbitrators, people who are senior in hierarchy, but most of the times you are dealing with people of your own some seniority and so on, or say same category. You may be working with lawyers on the other side, you have a client on your side and there is maybe other client on the other side. So hierarchy wise it may not be that much up and down. So you have to see how you behave in a particular segment, like how you behave socially, generally, otherwise that will reflect in your dealings with your business counterparts as well. So it is inherent. You don't learn it. This is not something new that you have to learn for corporate law practice. It is inherent in you. Yes, you can definitely improvise That improvisation will come if you suffer some setbacks from your attitude at times. So your mistakes are your greatest teachers. This is how, invariably each one of us learns, that I should not behave in this particular way. This is where I was caught on the wrong foot. So mistakes are your best teacher. Next best could be to err on the side of caution always. It never hurts to be polite. It never hurts to be humble. It never hurts, to be, doing more than that is required on your part. So, I mean, it's trial by error. There are no formula for that.
But sir, it's best when it comes from you. So supposedly, sir, I was just normally researching, and so I figured out that approximately there would be about 100,000 followers that you have on the social media sphere. So has a very interesting group on Telegram. I'll share the link to that group on our WhatsApp group as well, so that people who may find, people who just want to keep updated, since it's all studious people only here. So I'm hopeful that you will find better sense and learning over there as well. So also, sir, I think Dr. Sai Kumar sir has something to say. Sai sir, आपका mic एक दो बार अभी it was unmute. So it will be sir really great to have some thoughts from your side also.
Hello.
Welcome, sir. Very good evening.
Hello.
Hi, sir. You're audible, sir. Absolutely audible. Sai, sir. Sai, sir, we could hear you loud and clear. So we very humbly sometimes just hope that we could at least have some uh, kind of juniors who could reach out and help out all the seniors at least to properly connect with all of these classes. Technology, I've seen that absolutely I see the merit in it, that it has absolutely given us this occasion of being able to even in whatever remote circumstances have this conversation with you. But still I see that there is so much that can still happen probably in the future. Very interesting things that you mentioned in the class today. So even with respect to wherein you mentioned chat GPT. So I think Dr. Sai sir back again. Sai sir, hi.
Thank you very much. Thanks for opportunity.
Sai sir, it's a pleasure, sir. Very warm welcome, sir. So,
It was
so with that,
absolute pleasure speaking to you people.
so Bhumesh sir, I thank you on behalf of all of our participants. I thank every single participant who's present here, and I hope, I'm quite sure that you obviously had some very insightful learnings from Bhumesh sir. Rest, I will share that WhatsApp, that Telegram group link with everyone. So his profile I've shared in the chat group for everyone to pursue, to use, and at the same time I'll also share this Telegram chat group. I request everyone to kindly just have a brief out. It's more active than our WhatsApp chat group. It has a very regular updates in it as well. So I'm quite sure that everyone will find merit in that. Uh, Bhumesh, sir, thank you so much. It's been such a wonderful learning occasion with you, and I'm hopeful, sir. Actually, there are a few other questions which I have at my end, but which I will refrain from putting forward today because
अरे
I
अगरबत्ती नहीं जलाया ना?
that they have an entire class of their own. And in that respect, sir, I know there is one particular question that I wanted to ask you, which I've refrained actually from, is that what exactly is the meaning of corporate law? What does one understand? Litigation, everyone understands. Going in front of the court and arguing no matter whatever you may be doing over there, even if you're assisting. But what exactly is corporate law? So all of these questions, I'm very hopeful that we'll have future opportunities to discuss with you and to have your wonderful insights on to maybe help us grow and prosper. And I can only thank you in that respect, sir.
Good luck, everyone. Take care. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. So for everyone else, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for participating. I am also going to share I'm sharing the class feedback. I request that everyone who has made it so far, who's still here, request I'll also share it in the group. But again, अपन लोग परिवार हैं, आप लोग सब अपने ही हो, and I hope that these sessions they're helping you that in any manner that this is a community. I see this as our Vestralex family. This is our study group. I am always very excited and happy to be here to meet everyone. On regular basis. There's another class this weekend that is with Mr. Manoj Kumar Mishra, sir. He's senior advocate from Odisha High Court. He's going to be talking about the Constitution of India, more so the directive principles, and that's also going to be very interesting. But in the meanwhile, I very humbly request that kindly please just fill this feedback form so that we may communicate to sir also that what exactly did everyone feel about the classes. Also, just one final thing before before I also take the lead, that we are making an executive committee for these classes so that for inviting people for hosting these classes so that you don't have to see me also throughout the time that there may be other people who will be hosting the classes simultaneously for inviting people also. So in सारी चीजों को करने के लिए that we should have a team of our people, and I very humbly request that we'll just follow with that. So anyways, thank you so much. Absolutely wonderful meeting all of you. Thank you to our esteemed guests, and we will see you guys soon. Till then.
Thank you so much, sir, for organizing this interactive
Thank
session.
you.